Hey, sorry guys, if you were watching that and the stream just weirdly ended, I guess my internet disconnected very briefly. So I am back here just to wrap things up, so the remainder of the stream will just be a couple of minutes at best. Maybe like 10 minutes at best, I would say. So for anyone who's watching, especially Martin, my apologies right there. I don't know what happened with my internet. Again, it just disconnected randomly, so I had to restart the stream here. But I just wanted to at least let you guys off on a better note for this stream and where things are going. So yes, we've won the campaign. We have 60 regions. We've gotten the victory message. So we don't need to continue with this any longer. We've already reached our objective. Now, I'll probably just play this in my own time going into the future, because right now we still have this war against Enetwaith. I'll probably just take a break from this for a while just because Enetwaith is kind of exhausting to fight, and I am anxious to move on to other factions. I'm pretty happy with where things have gone with Ar-Adunaim altogether. I've never played an evil faction, well, campaign-wise, like streaming-wise too, I haven't really played an evil faction before, and Ar-Adunaim is technically like a neutral faction in all of this. They don't have an allegiance with Sauron, of course, or with any other evil factions. They are almost purely neutral. And we got lucky in forming an alliance with Gondor early on in the game. But I do like the direction. I like the direction that we took in this campaign altogether. It took us a long time to destroy the Haradrim and the Verdiags of Khan over here in the east. That was the biggest difficulty I think I had to deal with the entire campaign, was just trying to quickly defeat these two factions in the Far East, and hoping that Gondor was going to be able to hold off against Mordor. And Mordor did get to a point where they were just insanely powerful, so they pushed Gondor all the way back from Osgiliath to Minas Tirith, all the way down to, I would say they even reached all the way to Andalon over here too. So Gondor was pretty much on its last legs, and when we came in to help out, we were able to push the orcs completely out of Gondor, out of Ithilien over here too, and we also invaded Mordor as well from within. So we eventually did pretty much destroy Mordor, but that probably took up the largest portion of the campaign. No, actually that didn't. Fighting Mordor full-time did not take up that much of the campaign in comparison to defeating the Haradrim and the Verdiags of Canaan over here. I would say that took more time, ironically enough. Especially because it took a lot longer to supply our movements over here. Logistically, it's just more difficult trying to maintain a campaign in the far southern regions of Middle-earth because there aren't that many roads, and also it took us a longer time to defeat the Verdiags because they had a Doomstack come up as well. But we spent most of our time destroying those two factions, basically destroying Mordor as well, because they also had territory up here in Rohan too, as I'm sure you can tell. So we ended up not going to war with Gondor or Rohan for that matter. We actually ended up saving those two factions. And we basically just had to fight Enetwaith where we are right now because they were very close to winning that campaign. So they only had to conquer 50 regions versus us, we had to get 60. But I'm pretty happy with where things went. Ar-Adunaim is a great faction to play. They do have a ton of great elite units, especially, like, I'll just go down here and give an example anyways. The Elcarandes Faithful and the Númenórean Vanguards. Not only do I love the unit designs on these, it really makes their cavalry stand out a lot more versus their predecessors and older versions of Divide and Conquer. But they're a reliable heavy cavalry too. And they also just have some of the finest infantry, melee infantry in the entire game. So the Royal Legion of Armanelos, incredibly tanky. So I was able to win a lot of battles with these guys. Easily one of my favorite elite units that I've recruited so far. I would say throughout the entire game, they're probably one of my favorite elite units, especially because of the look of their armor. But the standout unit for me, I would say, would be the Naru Royal Guard and the Sentinels, if I can find an example of that. Yeah, the Sentinels did a phenomenal job. A range of 190 meters, high accuracy, but not just as archers are they reliable, but in melee as well. Like, they had very little difficulty fighting in close combat, I would say. The only real challenge they had was probably against other spear units or halberd units, like those orc halberdiers that we had to fight. Those are probably the only units they had a hard time against. But against anything else in the battlefield, these guys have time and again proven their worth. Extremely tanky, very reliable in close combat, even cavalry can't take them out. So these have easily become one of my favorite units in the entire mod. The Naru Sentinels easily earned their place as one of the best elite units I've recruited, I would say. Extremely reliable. But yeah, that's enough talking about the units anyways for Ar-Adunaim. Again, I've had a ton of fun with this campaign. They have a strong roster, a strong versatile roster to work with all around. And if you can just basically figure out like which direction you want to take the campaign in, you basically have to make one of two choices. You either have to push your way east and deal the Haradrim and the Veriegs of Khan and eventually Mordor, or you can push your way against Gondor. Now, I think this worked out better for me overall campaign-wise, because if I had decided to fight Gondor and side with Mordor to fight Gondor, yes, I could have taken all this territory, but it wouldn't have been as much territory versus what we conquered here in the Far East. And eventually, taking out Mordor too, that just contributed so much more to our overall strength. So that's one of the reasons why I decided that I wasn't going to fight Gondor, because there's just more opportunity marching east and then north up against Mordor. Versus if I were to try to fight Gondor, yes, they have a lot of territory here I can take from them, but then I'd be competing against Mordor. And I don't think there's any way I could have formed an alliance with the Haradrim down here, because they just started, drawing swords against me very early in the game. Pretty much within the first 10 turns in the game, I was already fighting the Haradrim. Not a whole lot of fun. Plus, they are the worst faction to fight late game, so you really just want to eliminate them early on if you can. And you can't really fight the Haradrim and maintain an alliance with Mordor at the same time. I don't really think that's going to work out in the long run. So that's why I went in this particular direction. Defeat the Haradrim, the Veriegs of Khan, form an alliance with Gondor so that they can keep Mordor at bay just long enough for us to finally defeat our enemies here in the east. And then we can turn our attention up north and deal with Mordor while fighting alongside Gondor, and overall that worked out pretty well for us. Alright, so guys, I am pretty happy with where this campaign has gone. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Again, I'm not sure if I'll come back to play this campaign again. If I do, it'll just strictly be in my own time. I don't think I'll stream this anymore. If I really do decide to stream this again, then of course, just check in and take a look at the schedule and just tune into my streams to see what I'm playing. But I'm pretty satisfied with this campaign, and I'm happy with just leaving it off where it is right now, because I am anxious to move on to other factions. So if you enjoyed this stream, just give me a follow as usual, and I do hope that you enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world. Take care, guys.